You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you so much for joining me today on our Total Wellness Tuesday edition, where last Tuesday I went over the 5 proven ways to prevent Alzheimer's and brain-based diseases. That was episode 732. And then the Friday before that, I went over the 14 risk factors for Alzheimer's, essentially dementia, any brain-based diseases as we age. And that was episode 728. I hope you tuned into those. Now, today I was going to bring you, finally, the finale of how to prevent and how to reverse, essentially how to reverse Alzheimer's and brain-based diseases if you or anyone you know is currently suffering from that. But what I wanted to do was this. I'm going to take one more week to really refine that for you. A lot of times my podcast it's based on the research that I'm doing, a lot of the reading, things that come in my practice, things that I've talked about thousands of times, I mean, literally, and I could talk about them literally in my sleep, but my wife would probably tell you that. So here's the deal, though. With this definitive program, what I want to do to you is try to put out the best of the best. I really do. It's a personal mission that I have. It's not a competitive thing. It's nothing like that. So what I want to do is this, I want to take one more week to really refine that for you. I'm going to check back, make sure you've tuned into that show of the 5 proven ways to prevent Alzheimer's, the 14 risk factors the week before, and then next week, I promise to bring you the actual way that if you're dealing with Alzheimer's right now, again, I know that there's different levels of Alzheimer's and people are suffering. Maybe they've had it for 5 years from now, but we're at least going to help you to try to halt it, if not reverse a lot of those issues right now. So I'm really looking forward to bringing that to you. Again, this is research that's literally cutting edge. I want to take the research that I've been talking about for years and literally update it to the best of the best of what's taking place right now. So we're going to go over that. Today, though, I have just as exciting, if not, I don't know, more exciting for a lot of people out there. Maybe they're not dealing with those types of things or worried about that right now in their future. But this is a question we've been getting quite often, is about dental care. So now I have talked about root canals, abscesses in the teeth, cavitations on many shows. To find out about those answers, go to stephencabral.com/podcasts. Anytime you have a question, go to stephencabral.com/podcast and type in your question or just type in the keyword such as root canal or cavitation or cavities or whatever it might be, holistic dentist, and it should pop up with the shows that I've spoken about. Today, though, what I wanted to do was literally give you the definitive daily routine on how to take care of your teeth and gums. So since I've gotten so many questions, what I want to do is, of course, refer you to my favorite books on this topic. And then also just give you step-by-step what I do, what I recommend to others. Now, this month, I've set the challenge for myself. Hopefully you tuned in as well. That was episode 728, where I gave myself a February book challenge. Every month, I give myself one challenge. Not 100 challenges, just one challenge. And so for February, I said, you know what? I've gotten away from the amount of reading that I typically do. Still reading, but not the amount that I usually do to feel like, wow, I'm really moving forward in my own education and just trying to be that proverbial student where for my entire life that I'm just being educated and I'm learning from all the great minds out there in the world. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to intake all of their brilliant information and research and knowledge. And I'm trying to be a hub for that. And then what I'm trying to do is assimilate that, turn it into actual action plans. Because sometimes, we get these 300-page books, we get these really abstract research articles, and for whatever reason, I've always had the ability to be able to take all that information from an obsessive standpoint and be able to boil it down to what really matters to help people heal. And that's heal through both the mind and body. So what I want today, though, is I want to take a lot of that dental-based research and say, hey, what can we do to develop a daily routine to keep our teeth healthy? And if they're not so healthy, how to remineralize them and really improve the overall health of the teeth. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm excited. And now the two books that I'll be drawing from are called Whole Body Dentistry. I read that book quite a long time ago, over 7 years ago now, when I was first getting into my naturopathic studies. Not first, but after really getting back into school and doing my naturopathic studies, that was a book that was recommended to me. I read that book, really enjoyed it. It was the first time that I think I was truly introduced to how much oral care really matters to the rest of the body. How the nerves and the meridians in the body are actually connected to the teeth in the mouth. And that even if you don't believe in all of that, well, the teeth are connected to the lymphatic system and they are connected to and basically the cardiovascular system because of the capillaries and the blood flow to the body. So if you have bacteria in and around your gums or your teeth, that actually goes right into your bloodstream and it can affect everything from your heart to diabetes to cancer. And that's been well proven now. So super important that we do not overlook the health of the mouth. It's something that I look at in every new private person that I do work with. And so Whole Body Dentistry is a much more in-depth book on that. I hope that they update it one day. It was written in about 1999, still well worth your read. And the quick overview today, just a kind of a quick daily guide, and that's why I brought up the February book challenges. This is one of the books that I read this month. And it's called Holistic Dental Care, The Complete Guide to Healthy Teeth. And it's by Nadine Artemis. And it's a great little book. You know, I read this in just under an hour, only about 120 pages or so. So what I want to do, though, is I just want to go through the dental care that she recommends, and that I want to give you most of the 8 steps that she's recommending and then update it a little bit more with Ayurvedic and naturopathic themes as well. So why don't we get right into it? Here's the big thing. If we don't take care of our teeth, this is honest and true, it affects everything from our digestion to inflammation, our cardiovascular health, blood sugar, and the overall immunity of our body. So it's super important. This is something that we need to do. It's not a must. I mean, it's like a, should do, I should do this. No, it's a must do. And then also, before we get started with these 8 steps, since it is going to be pretty straightforward for you today, is I need you to understand that in this book, in the Whole Body Dentistry, nutrition is highly stressed, meaning that you must really look at the food that you are putting in your body, and not only in your body, but your mouth. A lot of the acid-based foods that we're eating, whether it's a Diet Coke, even whether it's 0 calorie or not, or whether it's any of these acid-based, soft drinks, but also energy-based drinks, or whether it's processed foods or breads or things like that, all of these things, believe it or not, actually break down the enamel on our teeth. They draw a lot of the minerals out of our teeth as well, which causes the demineralization. And the reason it does that is because these foods are acid-based, meaning like they're less than a 7.35 or so. That means that if something like a soft drink, which is like a 2 or 3, meaning a Coca-Cola, a Pepsi, or any of these drinks, they're acid, right? The pH is below that. So now our body needs to maintain alkalinity. So what it does is it actually draws minerals out of the teeth to re-alkalize the mouth. The other big thing is this, is that with a lot of these acid-based drinks and foods, it's highly corrosive. So it's directly breaking down the enamel directly in the mouth, but also causing maybe some acid reflux in the stomach. That acid reflux is then coming back up and again, breaking down the enamel in the teeth. When this happens, it leaves our teeth exposed. The teeth can then be damaged. That can lead to then cavities and root canals and all sorts of nerve-based damage, which can lead to root canals, bacterial growth in both the gums, leading to gingivitis, periodontal-based disease, which can then affect the cardiovascular-based system, inflammation, autoimmune-based disease. All of these things, again, have been literally proven. Your typical dentist is not going to know any of this information. They're really not. But I'm also going to link up today. This is a big help for me. I'm going to link up today a bunch of holistic biological dentists that you can find one in your local community. I think that this will be very, very helpful as well. To get more information, about 4 or 5 years ago, I got connected with a great holistic dentist. I finally had my mercury amalgams, the last 2 removed. And, really my mouth is as happy and healthy as it can be today. So let's get right into the daily routine. Without further ado, the very first thing that I'm recommending, and again, this goes against Dr. Nadine to start, and that's because she's recommending a saltwater solution rinse before you brush and maybe adding in a little bit of essential oil, drop of that. I'm not against that. However, I'm a big believer that if you're able to do a 5-minute or 10-minute oil pull while you're in the shower or before you brush your teeth, however you want to do it, that is ideal. So a lot of people recommend coconut oil. I think that can be absolutely fantastic. I'm typically always recommending sesame oil. Organic, cold pressed is my favorite type of sesame oil. The reason I'm recommending sesame oil is that it is more of a mono to poly unsaturated, unheated oil, and it's not one of these saturated fats, which might be a little heavier for those people with potential genetic variants that don't do well with saturated fats, because those saturated fats, believe it or not, even in the mouth, can be drawn through into the capillaries. Again, probably no big deal. Really, honestly, probably no big deal at all. If you like coconut oil better than sesame oil, more power to you. They're both antimicrobial. They're both antibacterial. They're both antifungal. They're great. So choose sesame oil or coconut oil. How much? Just about 1 tablespoon. That's all you need. Swish it around in your mouth, around the right side, the left side, around the gums. Really just swish it around for about 5 to 10 minutes. The longer, the better. The oil will actually start to emulsify. It will start to break down. When it does that, you can spit it right into your toilet. Don't spit it down your sink because all that oil can really clog up the drains. Or you can spit in your garbage. That would work as well. That is a great thing to do. That's the first thing that you're going to do to keep that mouth healthy. Now, again, you don't have to just be oil pulling for 5 to 10 minutes without doing anything else. You can use your time wisely. That could be your time for reading, watching video, whatever you're looking to do to start your morning. Okay, the next step, which is excellent as well, and I'm going to give you the time really required per step, is going to be scraping the tongue. Now, if you've never heard of an Ayurvedic tongue scraper, really simple. I will link that up in the show notes today as well. You can get a copper-based one. You can get a stainless steel-based one. You can even get a ceramic one. All of those will work fine. They're a very thin scraper. What it does is it actually helps to draw the bacteria right off of your tongue. Really great. And again, learned about this way back in the day when I was studying Ayurveda. It's part of the Ayurvedic morning routine. That will take you all of 10 seconds, 20 seconds maximum. Even with cleaning your tongue scraper, that's it. But again, copper is antimicrobial and stainless steel, same exact thing as well. But of course, you'll want to clean that. What that does also, it stimulates, in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, it stimulates the nervous system of the body, which stimulates the organs. So basically, the tongue is one of those grounding out points, just like the hands, the ears, the feet. All of those are actually connected to all of the organs in all of the Eastern-based traditions. So really simple tongue scraping. If you want to learn more about how to do that, you can literally YouTube it. You can do whatever you'd like. But honestly, tongue scraping, it's this simple. Start at the back of your tongue, scrape forward 2 to 3 times, rinse it off. What you'll do is then you can scrape the right side just once, twice, 3 times, left side once, twice, 3 times, and maybe go back over the middle of your tongue another 2 to 3 times. And that's maximum. Like that's legitimately the maximum that you need to do. So I believe that will literally take you about 30 seconds. All right. Now the next part, and this was very interesting to me. So this to me, I would say this would be more of a newer one. And I really enjoyed this. I did like it. Maybe I've heard it in passing in the past. Believe it or not, my mom's actually mentioned this before to me. She worked in a dental hygienist's office many years ago. And it's about using a dry toothbrush. So when I read this, it made sense that a dry toothbrush actually helps to get in and around the teeth and gums a little bit better. So what Nadine recommends is using a couple drops of an essential oil such as neem. Now, again, this boded really well with me because in Ayurvedic times, they actually use neem to floss or to brush the teeth with as well. So really like this suggestion, using a dry toothbrush to brush your teeth, brushing down from the gums towards the teeth, and putting no toothpaste, just a little bit of neem oil on that toothbrush or another essential oil as well, or a combination. Meaning like you could get a little bit of cinnamon on there, a little bit of clove on there. All of those would be completely great. Even a little bit of baking soda, which we'll talk about in a moment. All right, so up next is using a round-headed electric toothbrush. And you can add, again, a little bit more of an essential oil or a little bit of a homemade toothpaste or tooth polish. Nadine's not a big advocate of most toothpaste out there. I'm not either. You can actually go to my podcast, stevencabral.com/podcasts. And look up toothpaste, and you'll see all of my natural recommendations there. So this book will give you some homemade, or you can actually get the natural versions, which I mentioned before. All of them are fluoride free. Okay, so that's number 4. So I would say the oil pulling 5 to 10 minutes, that's the bulk. But again, you can start making your smoothie then. You can do really whatever you want during that time. 30 seconds of the tongue scraping. Brushing your teeth should take about probably 2 minutes, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Polishing the teeth with an electric toothbrush would take you maybe a minute. And then it's now on to using either a rubber-tipped flosser or actual dental floss. Now, I really like the tip about the dental floss here. The dental floss was great about putting a little bit of essential oil, whether it be eucalyptus or whatever your favorite flavor would be. You can even use a little bit of thyme, or you can use a little bit of an antimicrobial as one. I like the combination. So the combination would be mixing a couple drops of different types of essential oil. So, for example, I would mix a peppermint. So I would use a drop of peppermint oil, and then I might mix that with some thyme or some neem. So a little bit of antimicrobial with a little bit of a better flavor, such as peppermint. And so then what you could do is just rub that with your index finger and thumb right along the dental floss, and you would then floss between your teeth. All right. And how will you finish all of this off? You'll finish it off, and I really like this tip as well, with a little bit of a salt water rinse. Why salt water, or even why a little bit of baking soda rinse? The reason is that you're getting an alkaline-based solution. So anytime you add sea salt, not just any salt, but it has to be Himalayan sea salt, rock salt, Redmond's real salt, Celtic salt, any one of those things. By doing a salt water rinse and gargle, you're actually alkalizing the mouth. That's very, very important because you are not allowing that acidity to stay in your mouth, and you're allowing the good bacteria to flourish. Because believe it or not, you actually have a lot of good bacteria in your mouth that helps to keep your mouth healthy and clean. It's very, very important. Not anaerobic-based bacteria, but aerobic-based bacteria. That means they live with oxygen rather than without in an alkaline-based solution. So by doing this saltwater rinse, or by doing this sodium bicarb rinse, which is baking soda, you're going to leave your mouth for the day ready to go in the proper environment. And remember, true health is all about the terrain. It's all about the health of the environment, meaning like, if I go on an airplane, which I travel at least once a month, if I'm on an airplane, people beside me, people behind me are coughing and they're just hacking up and spewing all of this contagions all over the plane. Not everyone's going to get sick. And I'm not getting sick every time I'm traveling on an airplane. And the reason is I work hard. I do my best to make sure that the environment inside of my body, that when it encounters all of these microbes and contagions from the outside world, that it's strong enough to fight back. And that's what we're trying to do with our whole health dental care. So that's why when I look at a routine like this and you're like, whoa, that's, 5 or 6 or even 7 steps. Well, here's the deal. It takes very little of your time. I would say besides the oil pulling, which again will take 5 to 10 minutes of your time, your total dental routine in the morning and before bed might take 5 minutes. I really believe that. I think you can get all of this done in about 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes maximum. The lifelong benefit of having healthy teeth, which affects every organ in your entire body, including inflammation throughout the whole body, it's worth it. It really is. And this is it's a low cost and no cost routine. What would the cost be? I mean, because it's really not much more than you're doing right now. Just a quick recap. Oil pulling. Buy a fairly good size, not a huge one, but a fairly good size thing of organic cold pressed sesame oil or coconut oil. Simple. That will last you a month. Use a tongue scraper. That might cost you $5, one-time investment, okay? Or 1 year investment. You probably want to replace it after a year. All right. Toothbrush. No big deal, right? You're going to have to buy a toothbrush anyways. Now, a soft toothbrush is what we're recommending. Natural-based bristles, not bleached, all of those things. Okay. And then essential oils. Well, you can get a good essential oil pack for maybe like $15. All right, that's it. Like organic neem, organic peppermint, organic clove. Like those are just 3 great ones to start. Really all you need. And that might cost you $15. Those will last months, like months and months and months. An electric toothbrush. That might be an expense that maybe you can't do today, but maybe you decide to ask for a holiday or whatever it might be. Or you save up towards, but it doesn't have to be used today if you can't use that today. And then what would the next one be? But well, a rubber-tipped flosser, or to get in around the gums, might cost you, again, $10 or so. That's not something I choose to do. So I just want you to know, I don't use that step. What I'll do is the flossing. And again, I'm just being honest with you and being realistic. I floss at night. I don't floss in the morning. And that's because I have my morning routine and I'm not willing, right now at least, to add that to my morning routine. I do it at night, okay? So that's what I do every night. And I really like that tip about putting that peppermint oil right on there. And again, for me, just using neem or clove is just so great for the mouth and to get rid of that bacteria. So that's what I do. So mine's, 5 steps. That's literally it. 5 steps. It takes me 5 minutes. Again, I tend to zone out sometimes, so it might take me a little bit longer, but I try to keep myself back on track. And then the saltwater rinse. Sorry, I forgot that. The saltwater rinse, I do that in the morning and I do that at night. That's really simple for me. And that's because most mornings I'm using the neti pot as well. I'm not doing that at night. So I have that salt water ready to go in the first place. Makes it easier for me, simple. And also, I'm going to be real honest with you. A lot of these things, they will stick with you, and it's because of the difference that you feel. So that's why I'm always the first to tell you, like, a lot of supplements you're doing prophylactically, meaning like if you take a great anti-aging based supplement or you start to add something like Adrenal Soothe into your protocol, you don't necessarily feel it right away, but the benefits build up over time. But when you do something like, let's just say your daily nutritional support shake in the morning, you start adding the smoothie in, you do things like exercise, you're going to feel the benefits pretty quickly. You actually feel the benefits of this routine the first time you do it. And the reason is this: your mouth feels cleaner. It feels fresher. You know immediately that you did something right. Like you really do. When you have fresher breath, when your teeth feel smoother, you know that you got rid of a lot of plaque, a lot of gingivitis. My dentist was fairly impressed when I came back in after implementing a routine like this because there was just less plaque buildup. There was less of that tartar buildup on my teeth just because there's normal buildup every 6 months. You know, even if you're going to an appointment every 6 months, and I'll be honest, I missed about 5 years back, I would say in my early 30s when I just didn't see the need and all of those things, even though I'm into natural health and all of those things. But again, like you notice the difference. One of those big differences was with the oil pulling right away, getting into daily flossing and the health of my gums. So hopefully today's podcast was helpful. I'm going to link up the tongue scraper. I'm going to link up maybe just a good healthy toothbrush. I'm going to link up some of those essential oils, and I will link up all of the holistic dental links today on the show notes page. So simply go to StephenCabral.com/739. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. Hopefully today's show was helpful. Hopefully you can turn it into your own action plan. And as always, please feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could help. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at StephenCabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.